Hey guys, it's Choco the Chocobo here, and in this episode we're going to be talking about the side shop. The side shops, again, just to remind you, are located here and here. And the side shops, what they do is they offer you a combination of items and a select combination of these items from both the basic shop, which is in your base, as well as the secret shop. Now, that said, I'm not going to go over all these items again because I've already talked about these items. They're all components, so there's nothing that's recipe here. But I do want to kind of highlight a couple things that are here that can be a huge deal, as well as talk about, what the side shop can do for you. And actually, let me talk about that first. The side shop allows you to do a couple things. Number one, it gives you items that you can buy during the laning phase, or even not in the laning phase when you start like roaming around. You can buy some of these items that you may be building and you might be looking for in a recipe, right? So let's say that you're building an Iascati, you can get a couple ultimate orbs here. Or if you're saying like you need arcane boots during the laning phase, you can get the components all in here actually. That is a huge, huge deal. That can be a difference of you having to go back personally to your base shop or the secret shop, or a courier having to be kind of tied up on an errand that you could just do by simply going into the side shop if, let's say, you're just here defending, right? So something to keep in mind, very important. Also, at the very beginning of the game, what a lot of people underestimate is that you can actually buy a recipe from the base shop by like half of the components at the beginning. So I'm thinking about like in particular soul ring, stuff like that. You can buy like part of the components, the recipe, and they can buy the other half of it during the laning phase, especially early on. And that makes a huge difference, right? You don't have to worry about the courier being tied up when everyone's tending to spam it. And it's a very helpful thing to do. So something to keep in mind, something to definitely keep kind of in the back of your head going, yeah, I could do this, and this might change, this might give me a little bit more of an advantage during how I approach the start of the game. So that said, here are the items I wanted to highlight for you guys. TP scrolls. I've told you it's super important before. I'll tell you again, it's super important now. Huge, huge item. And one of the most important things to know about this is that number one, if you run out of money and you have to go into lane to get some money, you can then buy TP scroll from here. This gives you a huge map coverage ability in terms of like you're now able to respond to threats. Like let's say bottom is being attacked, you can just warp down there and you can buy a TP scroll here if you couldn't buy it at the base shop, or if the courier didn't drop you one off while you were roaming, whatever it may be. So definitely something to keep in mind here. The TP scroll also, a lot of people, you'll see them do is if they're in really big trouble in the laning phase, they'll try to duck into here, and they may even buy a TP scroll if they don't have one from this guy, and then try to warp out in the woods here. Like not really like extremely common, but you will see that a couple times. It does happen. So TP scrolls, bear that in mind. The Quelling Blade and the Stout Shield, to me, these are melee response items, let's put it that way. The melee heroes, if they're like having a really easy time in terms of kind of just farming, able to just have at it with the farm, you can get a Quelling Blade just to make sure you secure all the farm you can, and that gives you a little bit more ability to focus on maybe side denying or doing whatever else you need. And the Quelling Blade itself gives you the ability to chop down trees, which you can use to, like, let's say, open the shop up so you don't break vision. It can be useful, something definitely to think about if you're doing well as a melee hero. As a ranged hero, probably not. Stout Shield, in a similar way as if you're playing defensively, if you find that you're being pushed back, if you're having a hard time kind of pushing the line forward, definitely something you want to consider getting just because it'll help you stay in lane. You'll take less damage from both creeps as well as heroes. So something definitely to keep in mind. The 2 regen items obviously can be very handy, and the Orb of Venom is here as a transitional item. But the boots, every single kind of boot, and I talked about this in another video, I think all the way back in laning. But you can build almost every kind of boots in the side shop, with the exception of the following 2: Boots of Travel and the Tranquil Boots. The Tranquil Boots you'll require a Ring of Protection for, so this is something where you can have like the Ring of Protection from base, and they can just build the rest here. Boots of Travel you need a recipe for, so you're kind of out of luck, but you can buy the Boots of Speed. So, something to keep in mind, and that can be a huge difference, right? Because usually you don't buy boots right off the bat. And man, my base is getting destroyed. Okay. But yeah, boots of speed, building into like the upgraded boots, very important to know that you can do that in the side shop. Can make a huge difference in terms of how much time you spend in lane. Very great. And the probably last two I want to go over, the Morbid Mask, just because it gives you a lot of or that life steal if it's a constant back and forth, very handy. And then Blink Dagger. A lot of people forget Blink Dagger is here, and I've seen some really creative ways of using a Blink Dagger in the side shop, or from the side shop rather. But basically, just remember that you can buy the Blink Dagger, and that can really throw people off, right? Like if they see you during the phase and you're farming really, really well, or it's like relatively deep into the game but you're still laning, you can definitely buy a Blink Dagger, and it will throw people off because they'll see you go in, they'll be like, he doesn't have a Blink Dagger. You just walk out, no courier tells, no way for them to really understand what you're going to be doing in the secret or the side shop, and you just blink onto them, bam. That could be an actual really, really good setup. So something to keep in mind. A lot of people don't expect it. Like I've actually done one play where I've blinked into the jungle, like into the tree line here, and then they thought I TP'd out and I just jumped in on them and destroyed them. But something to keep in mind. And I think that's actually it. You can see for yourself all the different items here, right? So just really quickly show you what all the item names are if you're still not familiar with that. But yeah, so that's all for this episode, guys. Please let me know what you think about the video in the comments below, and you guys have a wonderful and safe day. Ciao.